Let's podcast. After dark. Where's the beer stick?
Save that for pregame, please.
I'm going to save it for Thursday because the Carolina Hurricanes will be back on Thursday, PNC Arena, for Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Playoffs against the Rangers because Stahl score.
And might need to rearrange the board.
I mean, you do have.
If you're ever going to break it out,
you do have Roy Williams covering up Jordan Stahl, but I mean, we can always do that another day. We can always do that tomorrow, Joe. Let's focus on the task at hand, which is providing an after dark day. Exactly. And yes, we will get to the dark arts soon. Don't worry. Let's bring on Luke DeCock, columnist, News and Observer. He's joining us now on the Heaster Automotive Group hotline. Stahl score, Luke. Stahl score.
I'll score. Say the line, Bart. Say the line.
Shout out to Chip Alexander. Look, I'm making fun of the whole thing, but there was an element, an essence of Jordan Stahl, who has been knocking on the door of scoring a whole bunch, of doing I'm too old for this shit. I'm going to freaking score. And it changed the nature of the game from that point on. Right after ESPN put up a graphic about all the road scoring woes, the Canes go out and score 4 unanswered, all thanks to Jordan Stahl.
Yeah, and look, it wasn't off his shin pad either. It was an actual goal. He's been due. He's been due the entire playoffs. You could argue he's been due the entire season. Mike Sundheim, the Hurricanes' longtime PR guy, texted me during the game, and he tweeted this later that this game for Jordan Stahl is Rod Brindamore's Game 3 in Montreal.
Yeah.
And for people who don't remember this, in 2006, Hurricanes lose both of the first 2 games to the Canadiens at home. Martin Gerber gets shelled. One of the games is in overtime. In Game 3, Peter Laviolette, familiar face, starts Cam Ward in Game 3. Rod Brindamore, they're losing late, and Rod Brindamore scores the tying goal to force overtime and then sets up Eric Stahl. I think it was Eric Stahl for the winning goal in overtime. They win the next 3, win the series, win the Stanley Cup. That was a moment where a captain took control of a game. And even before the goal, Brindamore was outstanding in that game. And I think if I were in New York tonight to ask him, I would ask Rod Brindamore, is that an example of a captain dragging his team? Because even before the goal, I mean, Jordan Stahl was a horse tonight. Yeah, he has been throughout the playoffs. I mean, he's like 3rd in the NHL in hits at age 56 and, has been all around the puck. I mean, we joked in Game 3 of the Islanders series that line didn't have a scoring chance, but every time it left the ice, the next line had a scoring chance. So he's been all over it. It's good to see. It's the leadership there. How about Kuznetsov? He talked a lot of shit on Sunday and went out, took a terrible early penalty, and then backs it all up. I thought his game was fine. Obviously, the goal is the big part. That's what he's here to do. But he was the one who said it's like 2 dogs and 1 bowl of food, and if they don't want to come back here, they know it's going to be hell. And I'll tell you this, I'm going to tweet this when we get off the air. The Rangers knew they were coming back here for Game 6. They left all their stuff on the walls in the visiting locker room.
Oh.
I have a photo of that. And NHL teams, typically, most of them, maybe not the Rangers, clean up after themselves when they leave. Mm-hmm. If they thought they were going to win this series in 5 games, they would have pulled that stuff off the walls.
Okay, I have a logistics question. They left it there. Let's say the Rangers had one tonight. Who gets it? Do they want the Canes to ship it back?
No, I mean, the visiting locker room guys would have just peeled it off the wall.
Oh, okay.
I got one for you, since we do have a number of Ranger fans on here, and for the sake of consistency, where the fuck is Zibanejad? Where's Panarin? Where's Kreider?
Yeah, Panarin was bad tonight.
Panarin scored an unbelievable goal in Game 3. I think he thought the series was over. For real. He was terrible in Game 4. I expected him to come out on fire tonight. Absent. Completely.
I mean, I think, not to take a page from Rod Brindamore's book, but
Trouba scores the breakaway.
Trouba, that's
so mad about Stahl having the early chance and not scoring. I'm sitting here thinking it's time to take Stahl out to the farm and retire him. He can't score on the early break.
And to the farm upstate to live with your cousins.
The sod farm, yeah. And then Gensel, the hired gun, is in by himself and can't score. And freaking Trouba. Fucking Trouba's gonna score. Get the fuck out of here.
How about Marty Necas? He needs to start shooting from inside his own blue line more.
Yeah,
maybe then he'll score.
So
I think
I was angry.
Not to channel what Brindamore was saying during the first 3 games, and to a certain extent what he said about their power play, which I don't necessarily agree when it comes to the power play. You do have to give those guys some credit. I think that's true when you look at the way that the Zibanejad line played tonight. they really, if you go back and look at their shifts, they did not have a ton of space. The Hurricanes defended them very well, even early. And I think, this has been a very even series, 5-on-5. The two games that have had the least special teams, the Hurricanes have won. So I think if they can keep it a 5-on-5 game, then they have a chance to come back in the series, because they've shown if they go 5-on-5 long enough, they're going to have the advantage. If it becomes a special teams battle, they just haven't been there. And look, the power play, the shorthanded goal, they are way too passive. They're passing it around. This is what happens during the regular season when they slump. They get super passive. They pass it around. They're looking for the perfect play. Look at the goal at the end of game 4, right? It's just a shot. It's a shot through traffic. And they had a million opportunities to shoot it tonight and didn't. I don't know what's going on there.
So that would be my concern. Look, I get what you're saying. I mean, we talked about this after they staved off elimination the first go round, that it's awesome that they're playing nicely 5-on-5, and it's not lost on us that they win that first game when it's largely played 5-on-5. I mean, it took, some key moments there late to make it happen. They finally scored on the power play to make it happen. The worry would be that you don't know game to game how they're going to officiate. I mean, the consistency in officiating across all sports, not just hockey, not just ACC basketball. I mean, we were all born in the depths and the fires of ACC officiating, and what do you get from a night-to-night situation, right? So I'm not going to count on the fact that the Carolina Hurricanes are going to get another sort of clean 5-on-5, not as many penalties type game, because the worry is, even in a minimal game, the worry would be what we saw with that shorthanded goal. I mean, let's think about the totality of this and why it's such a razor-thin margin, Luke. I mean, they're still -1 on this whole thing with the penalty kill, because they've given up 2 shorties in this situation. That's pretty brutal, all things considered.
Yeah, and they have some control over the game being played at 5-on-5. I mean, 2 of the penalties against them tonight were stupid penalties. Svechnikov throwing the puck over the glass, and Kuznetsov with the 2-for-1 cross-check and slash on the same play. So it's some of it's under your control. And even in game 3, they did a decent job trying to stay out of the box. I do think, and this is part of the NHL, the deeper you get in a playoff series, the more likely you are to get a very tight whistle. Because now, as you get to elimination games, no ref wants to be the guy who has to spend the summer answering questions about your bad call, like the guy who made the call in the Kansas game against, I can't remember whoever it was, who blew the call on the breakaway against, who was that again?
Geez, now you're.
But the Kansas guy goes up, they call a foul, it's a terrible call.
Right.
Nobody wanted it.
It's my brain fried.
Nobody wants to be that guy in hockey either.
Yeah.
So, I think you can count on a sort of the declining slope of penalties being called in any given playoff series. I mean, you get to a game 7 in any round, you really do have to, decapitate someone or remove a limb to get a penalty. And obviously, should it be that way? Oh, it should be called, but whatever. I do tend to agree. It probably should be called the same way in every game. But the reality is, in game 7, you're going to have to commit, at least a felony, if not actual murder, to get a penalty called. And hey, the players know that going in.
Interesting thought process, Luke. We're still going to have a conversation about the Hurricanes core, but what I was thinking was, okay, which one of these guys is going to step up? Is it going to be Aho? Is it going to be Svech? Will it be Gensel? Natchez? No, God forbid. But I'm sitting here thinking, who's it going to be? And is it a coincidence, Luke? Stahl, name on the cup. Kuznetsov, name on the cup, and Orlov contributing to Stahl's goal. Orlov, name on the cup. It just felt like tonight, it really was the old guy. It was, no ice for old men tonight. It felt
Space
like
Cowboys.
Yeah.
Hey, Jordan Martinook scored.
Martinook, who's
like
all
2023 all over again. Yeah. But I do think there were other lines that played well. I mean, I don't think Sebastian Aho was as good as he was in game 4, but that's not a criticism. He was incredible in game 4, especially the first period. That's tough to maintain 2 games in a row. Brent Burns was better, I think, because there's a lot of margin to go up there. But if you want to talk about the old guys, to me, it was more they were so passive after giving up the shorthanded goal that it took them a while to get back to their game. But once they did, then it was kind of like the other games of the series. They had chances. I don't know, maybe Shesterkin's a little rattled. Those were, as the game got later on, he didn't, he was made some big saves early.
We mistaken good for great far too often, but I will die on this wall.
But Shesterkin's up there with the greats. I mean, I think at one point Sean McDonough was talking about he's up there with Lundqvist and these stats and all this other stuff.
We just saw Vasilevsky carry a franchise to 2 cups. Okay, can we just calm down with the? He got him out of the first round series. Congratulations, man. Do something. If you're about that fucking life, win the game 1-0 on Jacob Trouba's horse goal. How about that? If you're that fucking good, be that fucking guy.
But he was.
You guys are really, really scrambling for those Rangers hits, aren't you?
I love I get airdropped right into the middle of this group.
It is not great,
Joe.
Duck, Mike.
Chill.
I get airdropped right into the hot zone.
We got quad box with Mike Maniscalco. Here's the thing.
Hang on, one thing though, because I was listening and a great discussion. Luke, our good friend, and every ACC basketball media day, John Clougherty always had to answer for that call in Seton Hall, Michigan, that he made at the end of that game.
Yeah.
But you're right.
DJ Carlesimo made their peace some years later.
But you are right. You get to a game 7, and those whistles don't work as much. It's all ball bearings these days, and all ball bearings in those whistles don't work as effectively as they do in the first few games of a playoff series.
So I'm convinced that the first 2 rounds of the Stanley Cup playoffs have been New York teams, and the deeper it goes, the more New York, New Jersey comes out of Joe. Joe feels like he's back in New Jersey. He's like, I'm walking in. Like, that's basically what it is. I don't know what are you okay? Like, you've gotten progressively. You have cursed more during this series than at any other time. And NC State went to the damn Final Four, dude.
No, I'm telling you,
you were just too drunk during that.
My whole professional career has been, you're too hard on everybody. You're too hard on everybody. Well, I was forged in the fires of the New York media and growing up and reading that. They're always hard on them.
Yes.
And now all of a sudden we want to suck this guy's dick because he gave up. He only gave up 3 goals.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
You're not even the best Russian in the last 10 years.
I don't think the respective media organizations are going to let them come back on with us with all this naughty language, Joe.
The Rangers?
No, Mike and Luke.
Oh, well, yeah, we quad boxed. My bad.
Does that like someone from the NNO is actually monitoring this?
Good point. All right, Mike.
Because let's hope they're not, because I got things to say.
All right, Mike. Let's go back to, because we started this off just saying, of course, Jordan Staal, man. Like, if this thing's on the line, the old man absolutely was not going to go out like that, and he scored a hell of a filthy goal on Shesterkin. I mean, this straight up, it was a nasty goal. And I'm sure in talking with Tripp, that kind of set things off, because things were looking bleak up until that point. Nothing seemed to be going right for the Carolina Hurricanes. You give up that shorthanded goal. Nobody's really optimistic starting the third period with 1:51 of power play to start. I don't think anybody, including me, was thinking, all right, here's their chance. But once Staal did it, man, we saw it unfold. It was a completely different team, a complete domination from that point on.
Well, look, this is when we talk about leadership in sports and leadership for teams. You have, especially in hockey, there is this mysticism with guys who wear the C and what their expectations are and what they're supposed to do. But for Jordan Staal, this is a guy who can fight his hands at times. And, we've all talked to him, and he is as self-deprecating as it can possibly get about his offensive ability in the NHL. But this is a guy who early in his career, he had that life. He had that part to his game. This series, he has been high danger chances. The Hurricanes' best forward with high danger chances. And you're sitting there going, one of these has got to go in for this guy at some point. But I take a look at, you get that 1:50 of the power play and it evaporates. And he's the guy on the bench going, all right, you know what? It's not going to be pretty. And it turns out that it's a gorgeous goal. But all he does is he takes the puck, he lowers his shoulder, he goes to the front of the net, and he gets Shesterkin to commit, and he buries it. And that's what guys who, when you lose a game and you're looking around in the locker room for somebody to talk to, and the guy who sits there and takes it every single time in Jordan Staal, that's what he does on the ice when there's the opportunity, when it presented himself. You're right. He didn't want to lose this series. He didn't want to go out in 5 games to the Rangers. And I think when that happened, that kind of snaps everybody else on the bench going, well, damn it, we better get our act together.
Yeah.
And I think you saw that from that goal, that shift. I mean, did the Rangers do anything? Like, we're trying to count, do anything in that third period that, especially when it got to 3-1 and there's 10 minutes left, seemed like there was any life in the Rangers. I'm sitting there, I'm trying to be objective. I think the Rangers had like maybe one okay scoring chance after that.
Yeah.
So, yes, we can point to that goal that it turns it all around, because it really did. I think that was the thing that snapped everybody on that Canes bench to attention, going, all right, now we got a chance. This guy went out and did it. Now what can I do to go and score a goal? What can I do to keep the puck out of our net and keep it going? And, once that snowball gets going, we'll see what happens to it. But we know there's another game left to play.
All right. So, Luke, before we say goodbye to you, and we'll keep Mike on a little bit after that, we'll transition to what Game 6 is about. Joe, you said this on today's show as it relates to what can happen if the Canes win tonight. If the Canes win tonight
was the hard one.
Tonight was the hard one.
I actually thought the Rangers were going to play a lot better in the first period.
Yeah, I'm with you on that too. But the point, and you and I agreed on this, at the very least, winning tonight, I think, gets the Canes to a Game 7. You think they win tonight, they can win the series straight up.
Yeah, I think you start doubting.
This. Right, the whole doubt part. So what I thought was funny, I put the Instagram clip out there, put the reel of that entire thing, and you bringing up the doubt starts to be your ally in all this if you're Carolina Hurricanes. And I saw some Rangers fans in our mentions saying, doubt, this is the Rangers. You guys this, you guys that. Now who's doubting?
They haven't done it.
Right. Now who is the one doubting? Now who's going, oh shit, we got to come back to Raleigh, see how it happens. So Luke, are you on this wavelength? I mean, tonight was all about getting to Thursday. I know you asked Rod Brindamore about some of the gamesmanship going into this, the idea of Kochetkov playing tonight, fully rested, Freddie Anderson Thursday, to give yourself a real legit chance. They go Freddie Anderson instead. They win. That's the point. So how do you see this playing out the rest of the way?
Well, first of all, I don't necessarily endorse this particular viewpoint, but I want to share with you guys the sort of, I guess it's technically a meme that few of us have been passing around. It's a picture of Larry Fedora denying concussions with the Legend Canes in 7. There's been the link between going up 3-0 and winning a playoff series has yet to be conclusively proven.
That's right.
Larry's satisfaction.
Hey, Luke, I saw both the Rangers and the Canes just celebrating a good game after tonight.
They were just celebrating. I just saw them celebrating.
I just saw two teams celebrating tonight. That's
That's just kind of an inside joke, but it's kind of funny. No, I don't think winning Game 5 wins you the series or wins you a Game 7. I think there's still a ton of work ahead because the Rangers will have gotten their wake up call now. We've the old phrase in hockey for a 5-game win is a gentleman's sweep. Like, all right, you lose that Game 4, you go home, win Game 5. That's kind of, I think, what the Rangers were expecting internally. Like, all right, we let them get one. It's fine. It's hard to win on the road in the playoffs. We'll go home. So there is some doubt that creeps in, but it also is a galvanizing, catalyzing thing where now you're like, okay, well, now we got to go down there and do it. This is, there's a little bit of similarity. It wasn't 3-0, but if you go back to, when the Hurricanes biffed Game 5 against Edmonton, they went to Edmonton and got absolutely smoked in Game 6. So you have this expectation of closing the series out. Obviously, then they took care of it in 7 at home. So I think it maybe gets you closer to a Game 7, but you still can't assume that now just because we've beaten them on the road. We come back here, win Game 6, and go up there for Game 7. I think it's still a significant challenge, and the Rangers should be ready for that. So I don't think there's anything you can take for granted here. But I do think in a series where until tonight, every game has been 1 goal. And by the way, Canes plus 1.5 cashed for the 15th straight playoff game for you gambling fans at home. For a series where that had been all 1-goal games tonight, not it wasn't a sweep or any of that, but it has been a narrowly decided series. So there isn't a ton that has to go the other way for the Hurricanes to get back in this. So I think when you look at them down 3-0, down 3-1, now down 3-2, is that the same as, let's say, 2019 when they were down 3-0 to Boston? It's more, I think, like the Panther series where you really just need 1 goal to go your way and everything changes. And I think that's what we've seen. But I don't think you can say that, because they ruined the Rangers' party by winning up there in Game 5 and finally cracking Igor a little bit, that makes Game 6 any easier. I don't think it's going to be any easier than Game 3 or 4 was, just because these teams are so closely matched. So
Luke DeCock, columnist, News and Observer. All right, man. We'll see you on Thursday.
You guys.
Thanks for participating in the quad box, and for Larry Fedora callback. Let him in.
Yes, you're welcome.
Mike Maniscalco still hanging out with us. Maniscalco brought to you by Roback. Check them out online, roback.com. Use that promo code OG20 when you go to Roback. We usually highlight the polos. We highlight the shorts, but don't sleep on the fact that they've got skirts too. So
Okay.
do
they have pockets?
I have to look, but I got an email today about skirts.
Okay.
And I know skirts are very, very big right now. So if you got somebody in your life, maybe, hey, look, Mother's Day was Sunday.
Yeah.
Maybe you got a birthday coming up. Maybe
you don't need an excuse.
You just want to do something nice and you want to use the code. Use that promo code OG20 and save money and get yourself a squirt.
Remember, the more you order, the more you save with that code.
True. This is true.
The more you bet, the less you lose. What do you think, Mike? Because I have a retort for the thought that how this series is going. What do you think the win tonight signifies for the Hurricanes?
I think we're going to Game 7, and then my belief for Game 7s have always been that's a coin flip. So I would love to be so bold and say, all right, well, we're going to see for the 5th time in NHL history a team come back from a 3-0 deficit. I can't do that because Game 7s can go any freaking way. And I've seen it where teams that you thought were juggernauts, when they get to a Game 7, they crumble, or a team that has all the momentum going into a Game 7, it goes away because momentum, kind of like baseball, as good as your starting pitcher. Yeah. Momentum in hockey is only as good as your goalie that night and what they're able to do. So what this does for me, though, it really just kind of reaffirmed what we were talking about before. I know that there are storylines that have to be told, like, the Canes have lost 8 games in a row by 1 goal. What does that mean? Well, what it means, they're a good team. And when you're playing good teams, the deeper you get into the postseason, when you make mistakes or if your special teams aren't good, you're going to lose those games when those margins are there. Guys, how many Final Four teams did you cover? How many times have we covered a basketball team and they go through and they just absolutely, in the old days, not before what goes on in college, but where you just destroy who you're supposed to in the first 2 rounds, and then all of a sudden you escape a game. Well, why did that happen? Because you start playing better competition. That's what happens here. So I just want to know, is this actually a better loss for the Rangers that they didn't lose by 2 consecutive games, that they got beaten by 3? Is that going to mentally bolster them going into Game 6? Because these are all these stupid ass stories that we all make up or people want to cling to one way or the other. For me, I watch this team play. It's what they do. They're never out of a game. They always have this belief, and it's odd to be around it because when you play a long season and there's a grind, there's usually one night where you look up at the clock and you're like, all right, let's go. Let's just get the hell out of Winnipeg. One of those.
The only thing I would push back on. I know what you're saying. I get what you're saying about the 1 goal conversation and how that can be somewhat overblown. To your point, is it good for the Rangers that they lost 4-1? They got quote unquote blown out. Well, yeah, if it happened in the first period and they just didn't have it and they could just be like, all right, we didn't have it tonight, we're moving on. Shutting it down. I mean, it happens. We've seen this before. I've seen coaches put their teams in situations of, well, you got yourself into this crap. You can get yourself out of this crap. Yeah. Otherwise, we'll burn the tape and move on. But in this particular case, it's the context of how it happened.
That would be my. I'm not saying the Canes are going to make this easy. That's not the Canes style. I just think the Rangers had to. Now you look at it, right, and it does go back to last year with Florida. Florida last year had to win a very specific way. Their goalie was molten hot lava,
and then stopped.
Right, like molten hot lava. And Kachuk just happened to score every time he touched the fucking puck. Okay. Now, here's the other part of it. Here, if you're the Rangers, you win the first 2 games. You won the first 2 games in a very specific way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Your power play. And then your 3rd game you won because, again, Panarin scored a goal that we're not giving the man enough credit for the wizardry of that goal. It was off the charts. Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
All right? If you're the Canes, the last 2 games you won, guess what? That's your game. You can easily duplicate that. That's why you leave that place going, I'll see you whenever the game's supposed to be. Sunday? Yep. I'll see you Sunday. Because we're going to go play our game here on Thursday, and we're going to beat you. That's what's going to happen. And then on Sunday, Mike's right. We're going to see you on Sunday. And if you don't get 4 power plays in the first 10 minutes of the game, I like our chances there too. So that's why I look at it and I go, the Canes can repeat what they're doing. Can the Rangers, can Zibanejad, can Trocheck, who's been a little quiet, can Panarin, can Kreider, my boy Kylo Ren, who turns in at the end of Star Wars. I won't go full language for you, but he turns into a little bit of something.
It's
there.
The weakest,
right? Yeah, so that's what it is to me. Who has the more repeatable effort? The Canes, who, by the way, now we've seen do this for 6 years. Let me turn this thing around on you.
Yeah.
Right. What is their DNA? What do we know about them? Yeah. You want them to play a very specific way? You want Rod Brind'Amour's teams to play a very specific way? But yeah, I'll bet on the sun rising in the east tomorrow. Thank you very much.
But again, that kind of goes back to what we were talking about. And why do I think that the Canes have a chance? Why can it go? Because they play a specific way, and we know they can get to it. You are right, but I will say this about the Rangers and the guy behind their bench, who, by the way, engineered a comeback from being down 3 games to none in a playoff series when he was with Philadelphia. So he knows what's going on in this deal. But the Rangers are really good, and they can play that specific way. You're right. If there's a exorbitant amount of power plays in game number 6, that'll clearly favor the Rangers.
Yeah,
get that. And I'm not just saying the Canes get to it, because right now that is it's what's more than an Achilles heel for the Canes. And because it is just a glaring problem that needs to be fixed. But what I liked about tonight,
they could sign up.
I'll get this out and I'll get to the floor. But what I liked about tonight, that could have been a backbreaker. That could have been, my God, we gave up another shorthanded goal to Jacob Trouba.
Yeah,
you give the shorthanded goal to, and
don't get dropping more F-bombs. I think we hit our F-bomb quota. YouTube's gonna ding us.
They found a way to come back from that, and then dominate a period against a guy who I'm not gonna get Giglio going on another Shesterkin Vasilevsky rant, but against a guy who, quote unquote, is unbeatable and had his number earmarked for the rafters at Madison Square Garden. But for me, it's how they won this game tonight was, I think, just as important as the win.
Yeah,
because they needed to show that they could come up with a big period when they needed it, and the Canes did more than have a big period. That's season on the line, and you run down, and it's how they win. Stahl, Kuznetsov, Martin, Natchez, 4 different goal scorers, bunch of guys showing up on the score sheet. They had a big penalty kill when they needed to have it. So yeah, that to me is
first period penalty kill was gigantic.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
gigantic.
But then they get another one when Svechnikov takes it, where you're like, oh, hey, if the Rangers score here, now it's a 3-2 game, and do they have some life? No, it was they found a way to get a win, and the penalty kill has made the adjustments it's needed to. So we'll see what happens in game 6. But if I'm the Canes, I'm pretty confident about, like what Giglio just said. We'll see you guys up here, Saturday, Sunday. Go enjoy it. So
it's the power play, the Canes power play, that gives me the most worry at this point.
It should.
The Rangers have figured something out. A lot of people were banging on the ESPN broadcast, which I'll get to in a second when you are logged off, Mike. But the one thing,
safe distance from Mark.
Yeah, it's one thing to go through Giglio talking about slobbing on knobs. This is a different topic. The point is that ESPN did a good job highlighting why the Rangers penalty kill has actually been really, really good against the Canes, and forcing, as much as we can get on the Canes for cycling the puck around and not taking shots. One thing that's been abundantly clear, 2 teams are playing, like deep analysis here. 2 teams do play. And some of it is a credit to the Rangers and how they have perfected the little box that you need in front of Shesterkin to keep the Canes from getting it in front of him. Because as things started to break through for the Carolina Hurricanes, I saw it. I thought it too. I think Kelly at one point yelled it. She's like, you see what happens when you actually get in front of Shesterkin, when you actually have bodies in front of him? But the thing is, the Rangers defense and how they've set up against the power play has been excellent against.
Second period was a clinic by the Rangers defense.
Total clinic. And that Trouba goal happens because of them waiting on the Canes to have a breakdown through their own defense. They pounced on it, and then boom, the rest is history. So that would be my only concern in the margin for error, the 1 goal difference stuff. That power play might bite them in the ass, like it has already twice so far. Not just in not scoring, but in having a breakdown that leads to a shorthanded goal like we've seen twice now. That would be my only concern going into Game 6, but some of that's out of your control. And if they get more 5-on-5, I like the Canes' chances.
No, that's valid. Valid, Joe. 100%. 100%. No, nothing really to go against on that one.
All right, so we'll say goodbye with you telling us what's the stat.
200. It's now 210 times there's been a series, including this one, where one team has gone up by a 3-games-to-none count, and 205 times the team that was up 3-0 has won. So 4 times it's happened. So this will be either 206 or 5. Also, the one stat that I'd like to bring out that somebody in the northwest corner or northeast corner on my try box here, the President's Trophy winner, not made it out of the first or second round in the last 8 years.
You asked.
I asked you when it was going to happen, Giglio.
Mike, I heard the subtle reference. I see you. I heard the subtle reference to that at the end of your broadcast with Tripp. I picked up on that.
The curse. You asked, when would it kick in?
I asked, and you have delivered. I don't know what hoodoo you got going on. I mean, you swear like a Cajun going to an LSU game. So, I mean, I'm all in with you right now.
Oh, man. All right, Mike, we appreciate it. As always, we will see you Thursday at PNC Arena, man.
Yes, you will, guys. Thank you.
All right, take it easy. That's Mike Meadowscalco, Canes play-by-play, hanging out with us here.
He did ask. He let it hang like a participle. When will that curse kick in, Giglio?
So, the Owl's back. Big thanks to Crank Arm for sponsoring.
Check that hat out, man. That's a 7-panel.
This is a set. Well, I've never seen. You're right. I've never seen a hat like this before.
No,
because,
I love the design though. I love the color, like that little gray splash.
Yeah, typically with a 5-panel hat, it doesn't have the mesh like this.
Right.
It's almost like a trucker hat.
A trucker 7.
It's like a trucker hat.
6.
Yeah, this is. Yeah, okay. I mean, makes me look like I got the 5 head kicking, but it is what it is.
I like the splash.
I do like the splash. That's good stuff there. Speaking
West
of
Davie Street, go check them out.
Speaking of beer, right. The reason why I have not done Crank Arm beer in the beer stick is because I
don't want to waste it.
It's A, I don't want to waste it. B, I think there's an element to the fact that I am drinking
New
York-based beer out of the beer stick, and it has been pointed out to me that the Canes are undefeated when I drink from the Canes beer stick. The one time that I did not, for a variety of reasons, was Game 3.
Oh, the time they needed it the most.
The time they needed it the most, was not able to drink out of the beer stick. Serena was not at the game. She did not have the beer stick. So Game 4, we made sure it was explicitly told me by several people, if you don't drink from the beer stick, you have failed. So did it for Game 4.
Saranac?
No, it was no. Actually, I think I'm going to go Labatt next because I think Labatt comes through New York, if I'm not mistaken. But I did the Genesee Kolsch
and the Utica
today.
Yeah.
So Serena came by the studio. Let me see if I can actually pull this up real quick for people who might have missed it. But Serena came by the studio today with the beer stick, and I had the Utica Club that I got from the Wegman, and so these were 2 16-ounces. The beer stick technically fits, I think, 22 ounces.
Mm-hmm.
And the beer, this time I let it get a little warm because when I did the Kolsch, it was sitting at the bottom of ice. It was way too cold, and I just could not drink it all in one shot. So I went ahead and I let it warm up just a smidge, and went ahead and decided to finish off the Utica Club. By the way, shout out to all the
Brooklyn beer.
It's an upstate New York beer. You want me to go Brooklyn beer?
Saranac, Brooklyn.
By the way, I found Genesee Light at Wegmans earlier today.
Yeah,
Genesee Light. Genesee Light.
Did you just urinate in the stick?
Which, by the way, for crap
if
beer,
you're in the desert sometimes.
Look, man, all I know is that for crap beer flavored beer, the Utica Club got it done. Like just for cheap crap beer flavored beer. So we'll see. But yeah, I did it all in one shot. No air bubbles. I did not give myself a neti pot on the beer stick this time. So I'm really, really proud of myself. We'll see what we can do after that. Serena's in the chat. We can do Jenny Cream Ale on Thursday. I haven't.
But have you already done Jenny?
We've already done the Jenny Kolsch, so we have to find another New York or upstate New York beer to go with this. Just something to consider.
I'm here with the Brooklyn and the Saranac.
So you want the is the Saranac's from New York?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'll have to go check that out. You
actually, I really like Brooklyn beer.
Let's see. From Alan, for local on Thursday. No. Do you want me to live?
Do not die.
Do you want me to live or not?
Do not.
Because I can't do that.
Stay alive, and I will be back for you.
Let's see.
How about you put dinosaur sauce in there?
Dinosaur.
Chug dinos, because dinosaur is from Syracuse.
Dinosaurs? No.
Have you never had dinosaur barbecue sauce?
No. We've been. We went to
I would
dinosaur together.
If you put nuggets in there.
Oh God. I'll get back to the beer stick stuff in a second, but I did want to point this out. It's crazy how the announcers, this is ESPN, went from this is the worst team on the road to, the Canes have been the most consistent team the last 6 years and the favorites to win the cup.
They're in a tough spot.
They are.
Listen, Sean McDonough's a pro's pro.
He is.
And I thought early in the game he did a good job talking about Stahl, right? But you got to remember their talking point and their focus is the Rangers are going to close this out.
Mm-hmm.
They're kind of setting you up to continue the narrative of what the Rangers are and where they're going.
Yeah, from Mortensen, ESPN guys keep talking shit about how he can't score. I mean, they put the graphic up. They put the graphic about their road scoring woes, which is a real thing.
They're also trying to explain, like, okay, well, why is this team so good during the regular season and why do they struggle in the playoffs? They got it. I mean, I thought they were super critical for them, for national guys. National guys usually are like the knights in shining armor. Right.
Of course.
When they come in, they, you yuck it up with them and they take you out for a nice meal and you do the whole thing and you're nice. Right. I mean, that's a thing. That's a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
But they were, in my opinion, in my translation of national media guy talks about a specific player, they were kind of hammering Freddie at the start of the broadcast.
Yeah, man.
They were kind of.
Yeah.
And then, Nature's like they were definitely questioning Nature. And again, these are all fair criticisms. These are all fair questions. Again, so from their viewpoint for the first two periods, it's, well, what are the Rangers going to do? How are they going to move on?
Mm-hmm.
How do we talk more about this team and position it? So, because I got news for you. People in New York don't really follow the Rangers with the same passion that we have here. And for this very specific reason, the Canes are all we have professionally. They have the Yankees. They have Daniel Jones to worry about up there.
Knicks
they have Aaron Rodgers up there to be wistful over.
Nobody cares.
They have the Knicks, who is their number. Well, the Yankees are their number one love.
Knicks are two.
The Knicks are two.
Yes.
Okay. So they have a lot of things. And while, yes, the Rangers top the Islanders and Devils in attention, they're still behind all of those other things. And particularly, there was this huge release. You know how excited NC State fans were this year for getting to the Final Four? I'm going to sound really old right now because it does feel like yesterday. When they won the Cup in 94, there was a gigantic release from their fans because they're an original six franchise. They had gone from 1940 to 1994 without winning the Cup. So when they finally won that thing, it was almost like, okay, we don't have to worry about the Rangers finally did it. Oh, no, don't worry about them anymore.
We're good now.
Like, oh, okay, cool. Of course, the Yankees and Jeter winning 5, and then all of a sudden you're like, okay, well, let's distract everybody, right?
The Rangers are also the team that's owned by the guy that everybody hates for the Knicks, but they never say anything about him for the Rangers. Kind of funny because he doesn't care about hockey.
Correct.
But that's the here nor there. But no, look.
So I get where they're coming from, but they did try to recover in the last 5-6 minutes.
Yeah, but at that point it's too late, man. At that point it's too late. And this is, by the way, I want to say this is specific to ESPN. This is TNT, TBS, the Turner broadcast doesn't do this. This is very specific to ESPN. So I want to be really, really clear with this.
Well, are they doing the home games? Why am I not seeing them? Because I go to the home game. We go to the home games.
I think it's because we're going to the home games.
Okay.
So I think that's the reason why. But my point with this is really, really simple. I'll use a Kendrick line in the Drake Kendrick beef. The audience isn't dumb. All right. And the audience can pick up on inflection. They can pick up on how talking points are made. At one point I made the joke. I'm like, well, clearly the announcers got the New York Rangers game notes ahead of tonight's game because they're literally reading them verbatim about all these other things, including Shesterkin streaks and stuff like that. It gets to a point where the other team, the other fan base is watching this, getting a little fed up. And this is already baked into the love affair that typically this is previous years. And it's usually baked in with New York teams as well, because a lot of these guys are based in New York. It is what it is. But at the end, when the shock was happening, when things were unraveling from the Rangers and they were showing the crowd shots and all this, like, you can't believe it. I got to the point where I'm like, well, show me the announcers booth too, because I want to see the face that Sean McDonough's making right now. Because he also seems flabbergasted by what's going on here. I go, oh, wow, what's going on? Because I guess they had it in their brain that, oh, this was going to go a certain way. So again, it's a simple thing where the audience can tell this stuff, man. They can absolutely tell this stuff. Just like our audience is very, very smart. They can pick up on streaks from Evan. The Canes are 1-0 since the debut of the Giglio bike. The beer stick's taking most credit.
By the way, the route back to the parking area is downhill.
Okay.
Just so you know.
That's good to
know. You were worried.
I mean, not gonna lie, man. I'm a little worried about it. From Michael, Joe G will give you all the Bronx cheer. Yes. From Josh, Giglio, the God. From Booze Briefs. This is phenomenal. From
You're
Will,
getting drunk Giglio without me even drinking.
Oh dear Lord. Yes. From Taylor, this used to be a family show.
Yeah, it used to be.
From Steve and Giglio going blue, just like Dangerfield did. We got from Gene, Giglio's going full Jersey mode. So yeah, there was
if you want to be about that life, then be about that life. That's all I will say. If you are that guy, then be that guy. Just Durkin.
From Alex, I'm gonna need a gif of Mike and Luke's face when Giglio said that. Yes, from Smitty, love Giglio unleashed. Honestly,
gotta give the people what they want.
Honestly, I didn't really care about any of that stuff. It was more of like, oh geez, like,
well, sometimes I forget Mike and Luke are gainfully employed.
Yeah, they
sometimes I forget that.
And they're like, why are you going on with these people? Those kind of things. So what's going on here now? I don't understand what's really going on here. So anyway, I think that's gonna wrap it up. Was there anything else that I was missing?
We didn't really talk about the goalies, but we can get into more of that.
Yeah, we got time
on the OG.
Yeah, we've already done this 42 minutes. We got more time to do this tomorrow. Call the OG sports phone too. We got a couple of
don't forget we are going to give away the Eagle Wear.
Yeah. On Thursday.
For moms.
Yeah, for Thursday. I'm talking about hitting up the sports phone for tonight's game, because we'll play some stuff tomorrow. I do think it's funny that people are actually texting
I never would have thought that was the thing that would be possible, but good on you, man.
It's a thing. It's like I got a text from a 919 number. Rangers fans left early tonight, like state losing a GT at PNC Arena. Yeah, that's real.
Yeah, don't let that James Banks back in the building. He's going to beat you on a layup or a dunk.
Anyway, that's going to wrap it up. Call the OG Sports phone. We'll play some messages on tomorrow's show. 919-444-2211. Appreciate everybody watching. Throw the likes, leave comments, subscribe to the podcast if you haven't already. 5 stars only, positive vibes only. Shows us for having negative vibes after they were down 3-0, where we were just already discussing things.
Is still here, man.
But we shall see. We shall see. The Canes fight another day. They are in stave mode, and they are succeeding in stave mode. So we love to see that. And big thanks to Crank Arm. Check them out downtown Raleigh, crankarmbrewing.com. A lot of great events, a lot of great beer, and we're saving the good beer to enjoy and not chug out of a beer stick. That's what's up. We will see you tomorrow on the Normal Pod.